Backrooms, an internet phenomenon that made this man one of the youngest directors to direct an A24 feature film starring 2 Oscar nominees. Kane Parsons. At only 16 years old, he created a viral YouTube web series with open source software on his laptop. This is the story of how the Backrooms went from an internet urban legend to one of the most anticipated horror films of 2026, and why it matters for every aspiring filmmaker watching this. On June 12, 2002, this photo was taken of a Sony CyberShot camera during renovations of a former furniture store named Ronner's Home Furnishing in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. The space is being converted into a Hobbytown shop. That's all it was, an empty backroom. But in May of 2019, the image circulated on 4chan's paranormal board. A user posted it on a thread asking to post disquieting images that just feel off. An anonymous user replied with this now iconic text: "If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something." No-clip. A term borrowed from the original Doom, where a cheat code allows you to phase through walls and fall outside the intended play area. In the case of the Backrooms, this is what happens when you slip through the cracks of reality itself. Seemingly overnight, an r/Backrooms creepypasta subreddit was officially created. By June 2019, the first Backrooms wiki page was launched, and what happened next was nothing short of remarkable. Thousands of users started building onto the concept. Much like the SCP Foundation of the time, users contributed new levels, creatures, and lore. Level 0's infinite yellow rooms, Level 1's damp parking garage, or Level 37's eerie swimming pools. There were hostile entities like the Hounds, Smilers, Partygoers, and Facelings. Finally, users made fictional organizations like the Major Explorers Group. Multiple competing wikis were made, birthing a living, breathing, collaborative horror universe where anyone can contribute their own canon lore. This concept of the Backrooms seamlessly plugs directly into a movement that was already taking over the internet. Liminal, a term derived from the Latin word limen. Folklorist Arnold van Gennep coined liminality in 1909 to describe transitional phases and rites of passage. Liminal spaces are also often described as transitional places. Hallways, waiting rooms, lobbies, photographed empty, usually at night or in off hours. They evoke what's been called kinopsia, the eerie atmosphere of a place that should be full of people, but isn't. At one point, the entire world was turned into a liminal space during the COVID lockdowns of 2020, and the aesthetic exploded. By late 2022, the liminal spaces subreddit had over 500,000 members, and the hashtag on TikTok had surpassed 2 billion views. The Backrooms gave all that ambient dread a story, a mythology, a monster hiding in the next room. But it only took a 16-year-old to turn this story into cinema. Kane Parsons, known online as Kane Pixels, was born on June 18, 2005, in the United Kingdom. He grew up in Northern California, and as you might be surprised, Kane never attended film or art school to learn VFX. He was self-taught. His creative awakening started with video games, specifically Little Big Planet, where he became obsessed with how environments and lighting could make you feel something. He got Adobe After Effects at 12. At 14, he downloaded Blender, a free, open-source 3D software. During the same time, he made a video partially based on the web series Dad Feels by Nathan Barnett, which he sent to him, and Barnett responded very positively. It would later be released as The Facility on June 1st, 2020, and Parsons and Barnett would work together on other installments. By the time he was 16, he'd made roughly 400 videos on his YouTube channel, most of which he's since set to private. Before the Backrooms, he built his skills through projects like animated Attack on Titan shorts that reimagined the anime as the early 20th century historical war footage. Those alone pushed his channel past 100,000 subscribers. But the project that changed everything started with an image he'd saved on his computer and forgotten about. On January 7th, 2022, Kane uploaded the Backrooms found footage, 9 minutes long, 1 month of production, made entirely in Blender and After Effects. The video presents itself as a 1996 VHS recording, a group of friends filming a low-budget monster movie when the cameraman falls through the ground and lands in the Backrooms. The transition from live action to CGI is seamless, and here's the thing that matters most. Every environment you're looking at is 100% computer generated, created with free software by a 16-year-old on his personal computer. In an interview with Vice, Kane described the Backrooms aesthetic as a manifestation of poorly remembered non-committal memories. He compared it to old family photos. The flash is always on, the lighting is gross looking, there's yellow halls, the white balance is all off. It's not just a description, he's articulating exactly why the VHS filter isn't just a stylistic choice. Every major technique Kane uses is born from a limitation. The VHS filter isn't just for aesthetics. Low resolution, film grain, and analog degradation mask the limitations of CGI. Lower quality 3D textures and imperfect models disappear under the noise. The visual imperfection makes modest production values feel authored rather than cheap. The lighting does the heavy lifting. The fluorescent hum, both the sickly yellow-green palette and the constant droning audio, creates sustained psychological discomfort from the most mundane source imaginable. Restraint replaces spectacle. The entity in Kane's series only appears in glimpses. A shadow, motion blur, a brief silhouette. This is the Jaws principle applied to CGI horror. What you don't know is more frightening than what you do. No film school called it true Spielbergian fashion when analyzing the A24 trailer. Kane made a 9-minute short film with free software that went from 1 million to 7 million views in 48 hours. It became the 8th most viewed video on YouTube in all of 2022. His first video alone now sits at over 73 million views. He expanded the concept into a series of over 20 episodes that collectively garnered over 197 million views. All of it, every frame, was made in Blender and After Effects. Multiple studios came knocking after the series blew up. Kane initially pitched the idea as a comic book serialization, not a film, but in February 2023, A24 won the bidding war. Kane Parsons was 17. Deadline literally joked that filming wouldn't start until his summer vacation. He became A24's youngest director ever. The producing lineup alone tells you how seriously Hollywood took him. James Wan from Atomic Monster, Sean Levy from 21 Laps, Peter Chernin, and Osgood Perkins. The screenplay was written by Will Sudduck. Principal photography ran from July 7th through August 14th, 2025. In Vancouver under the working title Effigy. And the cast is filled with talented actors. Renate Reinsve, fresh off a Best Actress Oscar nomination. Chiwetel Ejiofor, nominated for 12 Years a Slave. Mark Duplass, who starred in the Creep franchise, a found-footage horror connection that feels almost deliberate. Kane also co-composed the score. Here's what's most fascinating. Every environment in the Backrooms series was pure CGI. Rendered in Blender. For the feature film, Kane flipped it. The sets are now mostly practical, physical yellow wallpapered corridors built on sound stages, augmented by digital effects for the infinite geometry. But the DNA is the same, the fluorescent palette, the atmospheric sound design over the orchestral scoring, the restraint. The thing that made the YouTube series feel real was never the resolution, it was the intention behind every visual choice. Kane's story isn't an anomaly anymore, it's an observable pattern among independent filmmakers. Neil Blomkamp made Alive in Joburg, a short film. 4 years later, he made District 9. David Sandberg made Lights Out in his apartment, and it became a feature that grossed $148 million on a $5 million budget. He later directed Shazam. The Daniels came up through their music videos and shorts before ever making Everything Everywhere All at Once for A24. 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture on a $25 million budget. And it's not just shorts anymore. A24 specifically has built a pipeline from YouTube to theaters. Danny and Michael Filippo ran Raka Raka, 1 billion lifetime views of hyper-violent comedy sketches. Their first feature, Talk to Me, grossed $92 million. Kane Parsons went from first upload to A24 deal in 13 months. That's the fastest trajectory in the history of this pipeline. He was 16 when his short went viral, 17 when the deal was announced, 20 at release. Entirely self-taught via free tools, no film school, no industry connections, no production company. I made this channel because I believe that good cinematography is about craft and intention, not money. Kane Parsons is a brilliant example of what a love for a craft can get you to. He built a visual language, entirely in free software, and it was so compelling that one of the most respected studios in independent film offered him a feature film. In an interview with Dazed, Kane said, "The Backrooms is not, and has never been something I think about as an internet trend or meme. It's just a story I genuinely care about, with characters I genuinely care about. I think no film school put it best. We should all learn to stop waiting for permission. Start building your world, frame by frame, even if it's just in 3D software on your laptop." Kane didn't wait. He opened Blender at 14 and started building. 400 videos nobody watched, films shown at local festivals, collaborations with anyone who'd say yes, and now an A24 film in 4,000 theaters. So don't wait. Start now. Start building piece by piece, bit by bit, until you master your craft. The opportunities are there. It's just about how willing you are to achieve them.